3 types? Anish, remember? Okay, there's 3 types. There's Mugavalokam. What's the second one? Vihamalokam. And third one? Every email, Sihavalokam. The first one, I will say Vihamalokam first. When a bird is flying high in the sky, it can see a bird's eye view of everything. When you're landing at Heathrow Airport, the plane circles the sky for 1 hour before it lands. This is one of the busiest airports in the world. It takes so long high up there that you can't really see down. You can't see Big Ben, apart from kind of on a plan view. You can't see the details. You can't say you've seen Big Ben. You can't say you've seen CMS. You can't say you've seen St. Paul's Cathedral. That's not a proper retrospection. That's a Vihamalokam, like a bird does it. Then you've got Mugavalokam. When the deer walks in the jungle, it circles back out of the fear that one of the predators may come. So this is retrospection out of fear. The third, Sihavalokam. What does it mean? Veena? Lion's retrospection. Lion. When the lion walks in the jungle, the lion always circles back after 10 to 15 steps. Not out of fear, and not just a quick summary, but the lion, he does it with pride and with confidence that I've walked the right steps and I just want to retrace my steps. That's what we're going to do, Sihavalokam, what we've discussed so far. So in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, both armies were observed. The soldiers of both armies blew their conches. Everyone got ready for war. Arjun requested that Sri Krishna draws the chariot between the 2 armies so that he could see who he's fighting with. Then the Supreme Being took the chariot between the 2 armies. When Arjun looked up to see, he spotted his own people in both the armies. Arjun thought, will I have to kill my own people? I do not want to do this. So Arjun lost his inner strength. He felt a compassion for his own people, and the effect could be seen on his skin. His hair started standing on end. His skin started burning, and his bow, Gandiva, slipped from his hands. Arjun eventually said that he could not stand up anymore because his mind was spinning. Arjun told Sri Krishna that he could foresee the consequences of war. If he went to war, then the family will be destroyed, because in the end, the people in his family are fighting on both sides. Once the family gets destroyed, then the family laws get destroyed, and unrighteousness will prevail. The effects of this will first be seen in the women of the family. In the end, Arjun said that nobody in the family will make offerings to the ancestors, and he has heard that the whole family would for time indefinite go to hell. We discussed heaven and hell are not geographic places, but states of mind. This is not from Arjun's experiences, but from Arjun is heard. Arjun becomes confused from what he's heard. And Arjun becomes hesitant and despondent because of what he heard. And many times this happens in life. We hear a lot, and what we hear doesn't make the way clear for us, but it suffocates us. There's different scriptures tell us different things. Different knowledgeable people tell us different things. Different newspapers tell us different things. We become suffocated. Arjun's state is our state. Arjun is our representative. In the second chapter, Arjun said he did not want to fight, and he sat down at the back of his chariot. He said, rather than fight, it would be better if the Kauravas on the other side would kill him. Shri Krishna then, in the second chapter, told Arjun that this is a moment of crisis, because Arjun knows he's not fighting for land, possessions, or women. Arjun is fighting not for one of the most common reasons for war, but this is a war of dharma, righteousness versus unrighteousness. The second chapter discussed how a person needs to turn to the Supreme Being when living in the world. When looking at the question that Arjun asks at the beginning of the third chapter, it is important for us to understand the background to the first 2 chapters. In the second chapter, Shri Krishna asked Arjun, where did this weakness in mind come from? And told him it does not befit him. It does not befit you, Arjun. Shri Krishna told him to leave this weakness in his heart and to stand up. Shri Krishna told Arjun that it was his nature, his swadharma, to kill the enemy and to fight unrighteous people. The names Shri Krishna and Arjun use for each other have meanings. Not only that, but when the names are used in different verses, each of those uses in those verses have a specific meaning, which we went through. In the 7th verse of the second chapter, what happened? Shishyasteham. Arjun surrendered himself as a pupil of Sri Krishna. Arjun told Sri Krishna that he's confused about his duty. The choice that Arjun had was not between righteousness and unrighteousness, but between two right choices. His personal duty told him that he should respect his elders and not kill them, but his social duty told him that he is a warrior, and this duty told him that he should kill those who take the wrong route in life. Arjun did not know which of these two duties to choose, his personal duty or his social duty. And if he chose, both of these duties were directly conflicting with each other. If he chose his personal duty, then he would have to abandon his social duty as a warrior, and if he chose his social duty, then he would have to abandon his personal duty. He was confused about his duties and told the Lord that I am your pupil. He was his pupil. Shishyas Teham. He was confused about his duties and told the Lord that he was his pupil. He surrendered at the Lord's feet and asked the Lord what he should do. In the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter, who started speaking? Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna begins giving his message to Arjun. Shri Krishna tells Arjun that he's talking like an intelligent person, but a true wise person whose intellect has been offered to the Supreme Being does not grieve for those who have left their body or for those who reside in the body. Agatasun gatasun. It's not a matter of living and dying, it's a matter of being in the body or leaving the body. From the 11th to the 30th verses of the 2nd chapter, Shri Krishna talks about Samkhya Yoga. He talked about the temporary nature of the body and the eternal nature of the soul. Arjun's first worry was that he would have to kill his own people. Shri Krishna told him that nobody dies. It's just the body that dies, and we are not the body, we are the soul. Shri Krishna told him about the difference between the body and one who resides in the body, the soul. We are the soul, the body is going to die, and because we forget who we are, the soul, it feels like we're the body. From the 31st verse in the 2nd chapter, class that Sonal gave, Shri Krishna told Arjun about his Swadharma. If Arjun looks from the perspective of Swadharma, then he should fight, because only fortunate warriors get to fight in a war like this. Just like the doors of heaven have opened up, in the same way, this war has come to Arjun. Arjun and his brothers have done everything possible to make sure this war would not happen. They tried very hard to make Duryodhana understand and give them the kingdom, but he would not do so. Duryodhana was stubborn and told Shri Krishna what? That without war, he would not even give them land to the equivalent of a needle's eye. So that's what happened. It's only when war became an inevitable nuisance that the Pandavas went to war. Shri Krishna told Arjun that if he thought he'd gain honor if he fled from the battlefield, then he was wrong, because in fact, he would lose his honor in society's eyes. Once someone has acquired a status in society, then losing that status would be worse than death. Thereafter, Shri Krishna told Arjun about Karma Yoga. I like my audience to face me. That's right. Shri Krishna told Arjun about Karma Yoga, and after, Arjun asked the question in verse 45 about how a person can recognize one who is settled in intelligence, and whether such a person can actually exist. Then in the last 18 verses, Shri Krishna began his description of what? Riddhi? Do you remember? Sthitaprajna. What does that mean? Yes, exactly. Excellent. A person with a steady intellect. In the last verse of the 2nd chapter, Shri Krishna, if you've got a hand up, described what happens to a person who is settled in intelligence. Such a person reaches the divine state of Brahmistiti, Guruji explained in the last class, where one is never again bewildered and attains to the bliss of God. After hearing this, Arjun asks Shri Krishna a question at the beginning of this chapter. Let's go to verse 1.